with us Honorable Alex Segbefia, who Beatrice will do the introduction for.
Oh, okay.
And thank you also for following us through this program about our independence. This is the 65 years of Ghana.
Yes.
When we became free. Are we free? Today we will know from Honorable Beatrice. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Independence Day to everyone and everybody everywhere in Ghana here. And I want to actually thank Honorable Alexander. The reason I'm mentioning his own name is I heard, there's one of your names that's so, is it Percival? I love that name. I was saying that they should have called you Percival. And it's just that when I'm sorry, that is very elegant. It's not Alexander isn't though. Nothing personal, but yes, but I love that name. I did a show for the youth. That was last week. And I was so surprised that, including me, there wasn't much I knew about the independence. Because when I asked them, I realized that they loved Ghana, but we didn't have the sense of independence, the reason or what was behind the Independence Day. And I was a bit sad because I realized that we talk about our culture. We talk about what makes us unique. And I remember my mom used to say things like, when they used to mention like the Ghanaian name, it's like people really respected us. So when normally I speak to you, you're like a father to me, or like a big brother, because sometimes the things that I do, it's like you educate me. So when you came here, I just felt that it was an opportunity for you to educate us about our independence, because I think we do not understand the essence of our independence and how we came to be. So Honorable, thank you for coming. And one of the things that I want to say is you're a lawyer, you are an defense, the deputy defense minister, you were once, Minister of Health, and there's diverse things that you've done, and I found out that you could speak Spanish.
That's not true.
It's not true.
No.
So how come they made it up?
That's the story of my life.
Oh, right. Dang.
I think let Honorable do the introduction.
Yeah, so no, I'll let him do the introduction, but I'm just sort of like giving a synopsis, then he can build on. Thank you, Kofi. So Honorable, please give us a little bit of your background. And the reason why I say that is, you have so much knowledge, because yesterday you did something that I was really proud of. When you were playing the music and the way you were dancing, that was authentic culture. And I think that even made me realize that you were the right person that I chose for the program. So please give us a background of.
Did you video the dancing?
Oh yeah, they videoed it.
Oh wow,
it was fabulous, honestly.
Anyway, good evening to the viewers and listeners, and good evening to my hosts and all the staff in the studio. There's very little to say about me. I'm a lawyer by profession, practiced law in the UK for close to 20 years. Went back to Ghana as a campaign coordinator for Professor Mills. Then became Deputy Chief of Staff when we won office for 4 years. And then I became the Deputy Minister of Defense for 6 months. And then for 18 months I was the Minister of Health. Currently I'm the Director of International Relations for the NDC party. And so I have to spend a bit of time moving from country to country. I have a soft spot for the UK because I was the chairman here once upon a time of the UK and Ireland branch. But so much for politics. I'm here today to deal more with our beloved country, Ghana. Obviously, you can't do that without getting into some level of politics, but it will not be intentional. It's just be a matter of fact.
Yes. Which is very true.
True. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Honorable. You mentioned that you are the head of international relations.
Yes.
And now this is our 65th birthday for Ghana.
Yes.
If I have to say, what have you identified the link as head of international relations, our 65th birthday, what is going on in terms of the journey, our journey as Ghanaians from independence to today. What do you have to say in terms of investors, for instance, coming to our country? Considering the difficulties of having investors, why are we having difficulty getting investors in our country?
Well,
I'm only saying this.
I think that the story of Ghana is not very different from the story of many African countries. But sticking specifically with Ghana, the starting point is that we have a lot to be proud of. It's always easy to find fault, but let's at least pat ourselves in the back, gives ourselves a bit of credit for how far we've come. Once upon a time in Ghana, if they brought a grader to your village and they graded the road or whatever, you would feel that it was a good thing a road has come. And if you were lucky, quota will be poured on it and it's good. Now Ghanaians know about asphalt and they expect asphalt on their roads. That is progress. You look at the size of our GDP, where we were and where we've come to, it's grown. You look at our infrastructure, lots of things have been built, lots of things have come on board. So we have a lot, and that is especially in comparison with our peers in Africa. Specifically, I note in Africa. So when you look at what we have achieved as a country, even having had a sustained democracy since 1992 to date, we have a lot that we can say we should be proud about. But yes, there's a lot that we also need to look at ourselves straight in the face and say, actually, we didn't get certain things right. One of the major things we've lost from the days of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who, and this is where I get a bit political, this idea that others were involved in independence and their name should come is a non-starter. We are lying to ourselves. We should stop the lie. Let us all be clear. The independence we are enjoying at 65 is as a result of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yes, others have done their bits. And you can go back from Yasantua right through, etc., and you find that they have played a part for the liberation of the Ghanaian, the liberation of the African. But when it comes to the actual independence we enjoyed as of the 6th of March 1957, that lies squarely in the bosom of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Because others were there who were fighting him for that independence at that time. It's not that they didn't want independence. At that time, they were telling us we were not ready.
Oh, wow.
And Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, no, we are ready. They went for 3 elections on that matter.
Wow.
Kwame Nkrumah won all.
Wow.
And then subsequently gave birth to Africa. Nobody talks about Kesley Hayward, Kojo Botsio. If you look at that podium, so when they talk of the Big Six, actually I look at the people who were standing on the podium on that day. That is my Big Six, not the one that is on our CD note. But if you get into that, then you say you get petty, is becoming so you leave that. That's it. Because that was
you have to. You said not one that is on the CD note.
Yes.
Why?
Because the CD note is the UGCC, and UGCC is really part of our history to independence. But the other 5 were against Kwame Nkrumah. They were all against him. In actual fact, when the 3 soldiers were shot in the uprising, and they are also as part of our independence struggle, those soldiers who died are part of it.
Yes.
But those 5, all 6 were arrested. That's how they formed the Big Six. And all the 5 put blame at the door of Kwame Nkrumah. Now, it wasn't anything to do with them. It was Kwame Nkrumah's militant behavior. And so Kwame Nkrumah had to bear the brunt. And one of the elections, Kwame Nkrumah was actually in prison.
What?
And was writing his notes on toilet roll and smuggling it to Bedema. And they voted for Kwame Nkrumah's he's from Western region, but he became an MP in Accra, Ododiodo, I think, constituency. Wow. And he was voted when he was in prison. So they had to release him and come and make him head of government business.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you take your time and read the history, this independence and that is why the whole of Africa, except in Ghana,
Yes.
where they want to add other things to Kwame Nkrumah. But the rest of Africa, in fact, the rest of the world, lets him stand alone and gives him his absolute due credit. So that point, from where I'm sitting, and others will have a different view, Kwame Nkrumah is responsible for our independence for today, of now, that we are enjoying.
Then,
many others have played their part. That's I cannot argue against.
Then, okay, let me ask. Yes. So, sometimes when we talk about, like what you've actually explained is something I've never heard before.
Okay.
Because sometimes when you read the books and they're talking about independence, they don't really break it down. It seems as though they talk about, as is, everybody wants to be part of
a good thing.
That's it. But when it comes to the fight, they always put blame. Now, when you look at the independence, or when you actually study what's going on, do you feel that our social, how our social impact, the social impact of how they used to live before the independence, do you think that it's changed, or do you think it's improved?
It's definitely changed, and change is not a bad thing, except the effect it has on the society.
Okay.
So we've made some changes which, for me, are not necessarily the best things that we've done. So what is the one thing I missed out, but I was coming to, which comes from your question, that we've lacked from the Kwame Nkrumah days, is the level of patriotism.
That's it.
We've lost it.
That's it.
Look, in my father's days, Kwame Nkrumah's days, if you met somebody in London walking down the streets and they say, "Oh, where are you from?" "I'm from Ghana."
Yes.
And they don't just say, I'm a Ghanaian. "I'm from Ghana." With chest out.
That's it.
Bold. Oh, the people who just got independence. Everybody wanted to be associated and be part of the Ghanaian story.
Yes.
And the Ghanaians were all proud to be Ghanaians.
Yes.
When I was growing up in school, every morning we sang the national anthem. We recited the pledge. Kama.
Yes.
No ifs or buts.
Yes.
We've lost it. And as we were reciting the national anthem, they were hoisting the Ghana flag.
Wow.
Every school. Do we do it?
No. They
Why?
can't sing it.
What's happened?
We've lost our patriotism. We've taken on Western culture. And it's not wrong. You take what is good for you, but don't throw yours away, which is good. And we seem to have done that. So why? It's social media, but no, it has but there are bad elements to social media. So if you don't deal with it properly, you will get children who are warped.
But that is true.
Yes, because the child doesn't have time to even have any social meeting with anybody. Everybody he knows about is on the phone or on the tablet. So where are his social skills? Doesn't have any. So you have to make time for that child to interact. Look what happened to the amount of depression and mental issues that came just from COVID. Adults being kept in their rooms on their own. We all had tablets and phones, but was it enough?
No.
You have to go to work, speak to somebody, you go to the shops. When they said stay home, 1 month, 2 months, people started they had to have counseling for people. So why do you think the same is not been happening for our children, who we now, because of the level of crime and violence in our country, they cannot go out. Everybody's building high walls. And your child, you have to take them to school and bring them back, because you don't want them kidnapped or molested or whatever.
And that's in Ghana.
That's in Ghana.
And then here, there's knife and gun crime.
Exactly. Now, it's not as bad as in Europe, but we have to begin to realize that this is happening and we have to stop it.
Yes.
When I was young, I would go out and finish my dancing spree, as I used to call it,
Yes.
at midnight,
Wow.
and get a cab to Circle,
Mhm.
stop at Circle, eat chibom,
Yes.
and that is egg and bread.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
bread.
I didn't say
Or
anything.
chofi and, yes,
I
and
didn't
yam,
say anything.
and have your hot Milo.
Yes.
And you'd walk from Circle to Tesano, dead of night. 2 of us, 3 of us, laughing away, walking till we get home. Because we have finished our money, we don't have money.
Yes.
But we decided that the chibom was more important
Oh,
than the taxi fare.
Yes.
So we would walk from Circle to Tesano. And the last thing on your mind was somebody was going to
Rob you.
rob you or accost
Kidnap
you.
you, yeah.
No. You can't do that. If your kid is going to be, well, you better drive and go and pick the kid. You yourself, when you are driving, you have a problem. So, yes, 65 years has brought good things. There are more cars on the roads are bigger, there's social media, there's better information flow, but it has come with a price. And these are things that we have to find counters to, and we do try. But I think that the biggest is to get our patriotism back.
Yes.
Let people feel proud to be Ghanaian. And that we
You
must
know,
start
when
from.
it says
We have to
that,
start from
because
the
of the
children.
youth stuff, the reason why I say that is because I was going to move on to this thing. You know, when I used to do a youth show, they used to say that when they were younger, yes, they say when they go to school and then they say that they're Ghanaians. They normally never used to admit that they were Ghanaians. They'll say they were West Indians because that sense of pride. Because I remember my mom used to have this sense of pride that when they came, because my mom, she came by a boat. It's a Black Star Line.
Exactly.
So with her, she had this sense of pride. That was when you say you're Ghanaian, it's like you're wearing this coat of pride. But now even our kids don't even want to associate themselves with Ghanaian. So how do we change the narrative?
It's education, and you start from young. We have lost it, but doesn't mean we should let those that come in also lose it. And therefore, it behoves us, and that's why I like your program.
Yes.
You're bringing the youth, you're talking with them, and you're dealing and finding out how they feel, because we also have now second, third generation Ghanaians in this country who have Ghanaian names, Ghanaian parents, but haven't got a sense of what Ghana really is.
Yes.
And therefore, over here, there's a need for that education. But even in Ghana, there's a need for that holistic education. And forgive me for bringing that in, because it's a delicate topic, but for me it's important. We don't do a lot with religion the way we were brought up. And that is not to say one religion is better than the other.
Yes.
But there are certain principles that run through all religions. Treat your brother well. Be kind to your parents.
Yes.
Know how to speak to people. Show love. All these are common threads that run through most religions, even our traditional religions.
Yes.
And yet we have left all this by the wayside.
Which is
You
true.
talk about dancing.
Yes.
I learned how to dance every single, the majority of tribal,
Yes.
Balogun,
Oh, yeah.
Adowa, Agbaja.
Yesterday's one, what was it?
That is Agbaja with,
Oh,
with
okay.
Gauga,
Okay.
the two. So I learned that in primary school.
Oh, wow.
And it never left me. I used it in secondary school at our founders' days and stuff. So it has stayed with me till now. We don't do that. And you ask yourself, why?
Okay.
Because now the curriculum is this must go in, this must, other things are coming in which don't need to be in, etc., etc. So you ask yourself, at least deal with the basics.
Which is true.
Yes, our educational system needed revamping. This idea that everybody is academically inclined is not the way forward. Some people have artistic skills. Some people are dyslexic, so the way you go about teaching them is different from others.
Precisely.
Therefore, you have to be flexible in the way you get people through education.
Which is true.
I'm not against that.
Yes.
No. But in the same way, the content of whatever you are teaching is the important aspect.
Which is true.
So make sure you catch some of these things. Making sure that the person is rounded,
Yep.
has social skills, but over and above all, is patriotic, loves his country first and foremost.
100%.
A lot of Ghanaians are saying, I tied with the concept say independence and we will benefit from our natural resources. However, they are not seeing the benefits of the natural resources.
It's not trickling down.
Since 1957 to date, government after government, Ghanaians feel we have not benefited much from our natural resources. Now, if you go to the villages, you will see people even having a shower outside. They don't have water. They don't have electricity.
The basic necessities.
The roads are very poorly maintained. What is happening over the years? And this is not one government. It's been government after government after government.
Well, I think that you have to look at sometimes the nature of man and the historical background.
Which is true.
Man by nature, not all, but a good number, are driven by factors which are unfortunately unsound. Greed, jealousy, and envy.
Which is true.
And therefore, it's a cocktail for a disaster. And if you have a situation where you don't start by placing blame at our colonial masters, then we have a problem. It's true, we must look in the mirror first.
That's it.
Look at ourselves. We've made a lot of mistakes. And the way we've treated one another has not been fair to each other. But our colonial masters have played a big part because they have always been and continue to be the authors of the encyclopedia of divide and rule.
Which is true.
Look at the map of Africa. It's the only continent with very good straight lines, apart from America, which is united. But you see clear straight lines.
That's it. That's it. It's true.
In the map of Africa.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Straight line, tribes divided. It doesn't matter who, where, or how. You have split people up.
That's it.
That was the beginning of the divide and rule. Then you look at the system. Till today, the Francophone countries, their central banks are linked directly to France.
Which is true. Yes.
What type of independence is that?
Yes.
So who is calling the shots, really? The price of the cocoa you sell, who determines it? Your gold, you dig it, but who determines the price of gold?
Precisely.
So an infrastructure and system exists which you have absolutely no control or say or involvement in. And anytime a government comes and is speaking strongly, within a short space of time, there's a coup d'etat or the person is gone
Because
or
the
has
people
been
behind
contaminated. Who was responsible for the 1966 coup that removed Kwame Nkrumah? After getting through all the votes and Kwame Nkrumah being such a gifted orator and a visionary, he was never going to lose an election in Ghana. So the CIA planned the coup.
Oh, wow.
And he was removed in tandem with Ghanaian people. So you ask yourself, if they had not succeeded in doing what they did, would Ghana be where it is today? Or would it have been better? Or would it have been worse?
Yes.
I beg to think that we would have been better off. After all, why can I not look at Malaysia
Yes.
and see the tangent? They came to us in Ghana and took our palm and saw how we grew it and learned from us
Yes.
and went and grew it. The way Kwame Nkrumah was doing it is what they went and did. And today they are one of the largest producers of palm in the world.
But how do we
So what happened to our palm plantations? Why is it that cocoa is the only thing that we can boast
Produce.
about? And even that, we are second to Ivory Coast.
Oh, wow.
And why is that the case? So the question you ask is a deep one. We ourselves, in terms of the need for power, the greed, you don't see one government saying to another. And that is why, and I'm not trying to delve, that is why Professor Mills was an exceptional man. When the A41 was built, that is the N1.
Oh, the N1, yeah. That's
sorry.
the only motorway in Ghana, isn't it?
Oh, no. They
Oh,
are,
okay. Oh, sorry.
When the N1, well, the motorway is actually in Kwame Nkrumah's, but the N1
okay.
is an extension. Now, when the N1 was done, it was a project done under the American Millennium Challenge.
Yes.
And it was started by Kufuor. So when the time came to inaugurate it, he called Kufuor. Come and inaugurate with me, my brother. You started. Buidam, same thing. Now, Buidam was actually started by Kwame Nkrumah.
Okay.
You know, we had the position where we were and are still non-aligned. So when we did Akosombo Dam with the Americans, we went to Russia, the Soviet Union at the time, come and do Buidam.
Okay.
They did the coup, and that was the end of Buidam.
Oh, wow.
So it was Kufuor who now came to resurrect Kwame Nkrumah's idea.
Oh.
But he left power, and we came in before Buidam was completed. We called him. Oh, you started. You are coming to inaugurate. My brother, come and be there. In the last how many years? We have moved 20 years back in terms of our thinking about how political parties should behave. And that is now coming to another aspect of our independence.
Yes.
Because we've had different type of governments right through. In 1992, we decided for ourselves that we were going democratic.
Yes.
And we had a constitution which was unique because it was a hybrid of the American system and the British parliamentary system. And there are challenges, and we have to work through them. But we've had the longest stint of democratic dispensation so far in Ghana.
Yes.
And we can be proud of certain aspects of it, but not. I'm fearful of the independence of our institutions, because that's what holds a democracy.
When you say that, what does that mean?
You have three arms of government and then other institutions.
Okay.
So you have the executive, which is totally partisan. You have the legislature, which is made up of both sides. Most of the time, you always have a clear majority. So they technically rubber stamp what the executive wants.
Okay.
But then you have the judiciary, you have the media, then you have the security agencies, then you have the civil service,
Yeah.
then you have the educational institutions.
Okay.
All these are bodies with a certain level of power and clout, and some others.
Yes.
And their absolute independence in how they see things happening in the country is paramount.
Yes.
We even have the clergy. They are also a force. And then you have the Muslim community on the other hand.
Yes.
But if you like, you say religious bodies in general.
Yes.
They are also a power base.
Yes.
Now, the judges must be able to tell truth to power in their judgments at any given time.
Which is true.
The media must report as is, not as somebody wants.
Which is very true.
And yes, even in the Western world, and they have, so you can identify, but those that want to portray themselves as the neutrals, the media that just gives news, should be careful. And if you even want to taint against ruling government, because they have power, not necessarily in favor. But at all times, try and be neutral.
Which is true.
We are losing it
Wow.
in Ghana. All the institutions I've mentioned seem to have their voices only certain times when certain people are in power. And then when others are, they only have whispers. The voice to shout and sing and clap is gone. Now, you might think that, oh, it's a storm to no.
Blow over. No.
You are building bricks,
Which is true.
and before you know it, you have a wall. That is more difficult because there's cement in between.
How do we change the narrative? No, but when you say that, it sounds very, very
Ominous.
demoralized. Ominous,
No,
very demoralized.
But
because
so that is why we are here.
how do we change the
We
narrative?
are talking. First of all, they say in Alcohol Anonymous, the first thing you have to do is accept that you have the problem.
Okay. So I have the problem.
If you are there shouting, "Oh, there's no problem, everything is fine," no, Mr. Segbefia is exaggerating what we are talking about in this. then you cannot even begin to say you are solving because you don't have problem.
Which is true.
But if you accept that some of the things I have said,
so who have to accept? The
we
government?
as a Ghanaian people and the government. You see, we at the end of the day, government must know
Yes.
that look, I'm treading a path that perhaps it's not the best for our country. And therefore, let me
65
slow.
years we are talking about.
But 65
65
years,
Okay.
5 years.
you know, 65 years is a long time. And unfortunately, we've had democratic governments, military governments, democratic military
Yeah.
throughout the years.
Which is true.
From 57 to 66, we had a democratic government. The argument against Kwame Nkrumah was that he had moved towards a one-party state because he wanted to move very quickly. That was led, and because they couldn't vote him out, what happened?
Yeah.
A coup d'etat came. Because now he had all the state institutions, everything on
Yeah.
that. Like, so when there is no alternative, people
Yes.
take an alternative.
Yes.
That is why I don't want to push it with the car. But if you keep making everybody who is supposed to be an independent body speak, and everybody is speaking the same
Same
tune,
tune.
you breed a certain level of frustration.
Yes.
And then tomorrow, whenever comes, you then begin to look for somebody to blame. We have to blame ourselves. Because those institutions and their heads should be out there speaking.
So how do we, as power, as Ghanaian community, how do we say
How do we
we
stand
have
up? Yes.
power to change things?
Yeah.
Because this is not of our interest. For example, villagers knows that they can vote MP out, they can vote people
Yeah.
out, but the situation don't change. It still remains the same. So it's like,
You see, you have to understand. You are taking me into politics, but
no, I mean, this is politics.
Let me
Is politics.
make a
So
point.
the 65 years, we have to, as Ghanaians, we will blame government after government after government after government after government.
Let me be
So we
candid
want the
with you.
truth.
You see,
What is happening?
Okay. Okay. So
The
let me
truth
candid,
is this.
yes.
If a public officer goes into a courtroom
Yes.
and that public officer has a duty to disclose information and uses technicalities not to disclose that information, then you are moving in the wrong direction.
Which is true.
And I haven't called any names.
Very true. No, but I just stating the fact.
You have to understand that we have a right to information.
Yes.
Public bodies and public heads of are entitled to give us information when we demand of it.
Which is true.
If you won't do it realistically and I take you to a court,
Yes.
the court must demand it of you.
Which is true.
You shouldn't allow technicalities to get in its way.
Which is very true. So that means you're in denial and you're not going to change
That is the point.
the narrative because
So these are this is just some of the explanations. It comes, it goes, everybody says okay. It comes, it goes, everybody says okay. But you are building bricks and you are putting cement in between. So we have precedents now which are unfortunate.
yes.
We have cases where evidence is being excluded in a court of law which was not brought by the defense, brought by the prosecution in a criminal case. And the evidence the prosecution brings is in favor of the defendant and it's being excluded. This flies in the face of all the principles that I know as a criminal lawyer.
Okay, so
Because a person is innocent until proven guilty.
which is true.
And once the prosecution itself brought the evidence, it must stay
Which is true.
and help the defendant's case. Because we are not persecutors, we are prosecutors.
Yes.
And right things should be done. Look, I was in this country when Robert Maxwell
Oh yes. When they stole that money, yeah.
money got the whole pension fund.
People's pension funds, yeah.
They tried the children, two of his sons.
Yeah.
The trial took 1 year.
I remember that.
Went through everything. At the end, notwithstanding that lots of lives were going to be affected because it was the pension funds that had gone, they were acquitted because the law would not allow. The way it had the principles that existed, they couldn't determine that they were part and parcel of what happened, and everything had been put on their father who had died in the boat in the sea.
Yes.
Suspected. And I say
Yeah, they suspected, but they didn't
that
find
it
the
was
body.
suicide. They found the body, but they suspected
Oh.
they suspected it was suicide, but they said maybe he just fell overboard
Oh, yeah.
by mistake. So that is where it stops.
I think that was down the line because they were looking
Yeah.
for him for a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So, the law must work in a certain way. It must not only, justice must not only be done, it must be
sane
to be done.
You see, and when you say that, Kofi, no, but honorable, when you say that,
Yes.
it goes back into when I say independence. When you get independence, there's a reason why you get your independence. You get it to learn, because I know that most of people that they decided to most of the people that wanted the independence felt that, okay, we've learned something. It's kind of like going to school. You've learned something, and from that you're going to use that to cultivate and then move your country ahead. Now, when you talk about the law, it seems as though we got an independence and we are stuck in an era whereby instead of using it for positivity, it's actually turned.
You want me to add to it?
You see,
please do. Yes.
Because what it is, I think to add to Beatrice's one is that if you look throughout your journey and from what you were saying, although it's a corruption.
It's a corruption.
It's corruption. That means government after government, and it's like something that you can't touch it. But then in 2018,
You know when you say you can't touch it?
of the special prosecutor came up, and it still has not addressed. So where do we go? We are still,
You see,
65 years.
There's something I always say.
It's a 2018.
If you think about it realistically, look, when we were arguing against the vigilantes on both sides of the political divide and how to deal with them and whatnot, the solution that was put forward was that we should have a new law.
Yes.
And I smiled.
A new law for what?
For against anybody who
Yes.
is forming vigilantes or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And I smiled. Not just me, a lot of people. He said, look, Ghana, we have some plenty laws that we don't know about. A lot of law that we don't apply. So it's not the law. If somebody is a vigilante and he comes and slaps me, whether he did it as a vigilante or not, it's an assault.
Which is true. Period. Yes.
So charge him assault.
Yes.
You don't have to go and charge him under vigilante. Why? If you even charge him under vigilante and it turns out that he's not a vigilante, you might have to acquit him. Because you have added an extra element
Yes.
to the charge. But if you can show that he slapped me, that is all you need for an assault
Yes.
charge. So if you have charges already that can deal with issues, why are we going to deal with new laws? The law should only capture things that may not have been in existence already. But you don't need to go and do a whole new statute on that. Hey. So you leave it. The point I'm making is that it's the human beings that are the problem, not the paper on which
That
it's being written.
is written on.
Because somebody is interpreting law.
Yes.
You write it, somebody is interpreting, and he's interpreting in the way which suits certain people at a given time.
Yes.
Whether it's MPP, NDC, CPP, it matters not.
Precisely.
Now, there are some unwritten lines that people tend not to cross. But if you get somebody who's unscrupulous, he will cross it and he doesn't feel he has done anything.
Which is true.
Because you cannot legislate for. So those unwritten lines should cease to exist.
It's kind of like the
We
land
should
of
just
the
deal
blind.
with the law as is.
Yes.
And let everybody be clear that, look, as I'm sitting here, I should be clear in my mind that, look, if I'm doing business and Beatrice steals my money, she can go and talk and make way, but if I get her into a court of law, she'll know that she has to pay my money.
So
Which is
your
true.
assessment of the special prosecutor is
The special prosecutor, for me, his hands are tied up to a certain point. Cases can be taken from him at a certain point.
Yeah.
So the Attorney General can ask for the file at any given time,
Yes.
in my understanding. And I'll be wrong. I'll be wrong. But he doesn't have the scope and the width that is required. In any event,
is that the missing jigsaw from 1957 to today in terms of corruption in our country?
why don't we simply say, you know, what I'm going to say is very interesting.
Yes.
But
Yes, I'm going to say it's very interesting.
it would be a very, why don't we simply say that everybody who comes to power picks a special prosecutor And his only duty is to look at offenses of previous governments, not the one in power.
Which is true.
Then we all know that he's going to chase previous people.
Yes.
That is what he's coming to do.
Yes.
But all those who are misbehaving now, leave that for the Attorney General. And if the Attorney General is not good enough, when the new government comes, they will pick their own special prosecutor who will start dealing with because nobody is dealing with the current things that are happening.
Which is true.
Nobody is dealing with the current things.
So
I mean,
there's no accountability. So that means there's no accountability.
Nobody is. So if we've all decided that if we are in power, we can do what we like, no, in full knowledge that the moment we leave power, somebody is going to come who is going to now take our books and go through it. That means you are free for all while you are in power.
That's it.
Except that when somebody shouts, they go to the Attorney General. Attorney General says, I'm looking at the case, and the case never materialized. Because that's what happens in reality. That is the reality. How many people have been prosecuted under this government since? In our time, even we prosecuted. How did they get Abu Gapele into prison? What happened with other people who have been prosecuted under the Mahama administration and the Mills? And even that the numbers some will say the numbers are not enough. Because you have been able to take how many of us of our people to court?
Yes.
Some of them very spurious. But nobody, we have countless things that are happening in our country.
Which is true.
Nobody has batted an eyelid about whether these things are. People don't even resign. Or
That is
people
what
don't even leave office or are not removed.
Why?
We had 125 ministers at a certain point. At 125 ministers we had, I think it was only 2 that who fell out with the president on certain issues and they were removed. The petroleum minister, Ajaku, and then one other.
Okay.
Beyond that, no.
But who has the power to do that? You know,
we have a presidential system. The power, the buck stops with the president.
Oh.
That's why when things are going wrong, you turn Mahama. When things are not right, Mills. But here, when things are not right, we are not allowed to say na. Somebody else or the system or whatever. But we have a presidential system. And you appoint and you put people in place. If they are misbehaving, you have the power to remove them. But you never remove.
Will declaration of assets help this route?
Yes.
From
it
19 for this 65
That's
years we're talking about.
You see,
that's the thing.
Because one of the
you must have a separate
tested me saying that
yeah.
you will see a policeman, you know, the next thing he have more assets than what they are earning.
No, but
you will see different people with different assets. People in government, they have so much things, they building houses, their pay, their salary is not to that level. And no one is dealing with this.
Nobody says that you cannot have a job outside whatever work you have. Nobody says that. So if, let me use this man, I'm married to Beatrice. And Beatrice is a businesswoman. I'm a policeman. But my wife has got 3 shops in Mokala. Well, what is your own? To ask me where my money is coming from.
This is why declaration of assets will
but you see, you cannot. Then you have to declare for everybody.
Yes, your wife.
It's
every year they should let them file how they're making their things.
When you are stifling, sometimes you can stifle. People begin to hide things. You stifle progress, and you see, because you have a situation where you have a system of jealousy and envy, people don't say what they have. Because somebody will hear that, oh, Cheno, you bought a new car. Hey, this man. Didn't I just meet him at Omega TV? How do I know that you have been working on a project and the project has just come true? Do you have to tell the whole world that I was the one who has found out?
But do you think government ministers are clean? It should
yes.
Be
now you are if you are talking about government appointees
yes,
from a certain level up,
yes,
I agree that 100%. But if you want to make it general, then me and you will have the debate for a long time, because people are what the person who is supposed to be chasing that is the GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority. They have the powers to do it, so let them do it. But don't give it to everybody to come and disclose.
No, I think that has to be the government appointed.
Government, if you take a government position,
yes,
there should be a government body made up of maybe 3 people or whatever, some departments in what's it called? There's a body anyway which is supposed to have been formed.
Yes.
So you will say that, oh, when I came to office, I had one house here and 2 houses here.
That's it. That's it.
Listen, they'll check. This is what you have. Okay.
That's it.
When you are leaving office,
yes,
tell us what you have.
Precisely.
And then when you leave office, after 2 years, come and tell us what you have. But we are also going to be cross-referencing.
Exactly. With your pay and everything that you've done.
That way,
there's accountability.
But is it happening?
No. You declare, but it's not an issue till there's an offense. And so you declare, this is where I am, and then when you finish this one. But what is your asset, and what are you declaring? The world has become, and when the white man does something, it's very difficult to unwind it.
Which is true.
Because he has done a system whereby you have offshore accounts, you have people with foreign distinct, you have companies that own, shell companies that own properties owned by another company, owned by another company, owned by another company. And you never know which directors are of which company who is actually controlling the thing.
But you know that's where the hypocrisy is.
I'm going to ask
you. Oh, no. But you know that when I say that's where the hypocrisy is, is because when you work here and you die, they turn around and they ask you that, when you do your will, they ask you, have you got any properties anywhere? So then they will ask you if you've got property in Ghana and everything. They will add everything together, and then they'll turn around. Because I remember my mom used to say,
and they'll tax you.
And they will tax you.
Yeah, death tax.
But yes, when you steal money from Africa and you bring it to the Western world, that too is another different issue whereby you got tax shelter. So that is why I say that. So then how? I know that they've done the laws. Most of MPs or most of people that are in Ghana, are educated. Most of them studied in the Western world. You're a lawyer. How do we change that narrative?
Well, it's just more transparency and more, you have to ask the questions at the right time. So one of the things that is being thought about, and governments have been talking about it for years, I think with the tax situation in Ghana, they are trying to introduce it properly. And it comes easier with the Ghana card coming on board. Is that people don't even pay proper property duty. And that is where normally the money is hidden.
Which is true.
So there are people with 10, they boast even on telly. They can't say, I have 70 houses.
Oh, wow.
I have 60 houses. I have this. Fine, you can have that. But the question is, how much duty are you paying?
Like all the stamp duty.
Stamp or no? What do you call it? Like, what do you call it?
Property rate.
Property rates are you paying? Here, if you have a house, you pay council tax.
Which is true.
A certain amount, because they will come and clean, take the rubbish from your street. They'll come. So you have a certain amount. Police people have to patrol and whatnot. You pay council tax.
And every area, especially when they redo the area.
And that is separate from water and electricity.
Sewage, water, sewage, electricity, and gas.
You see, people have got big houses. They are not paying anything on it. Some patterns. The question now, or the fight that will come, is whether or not that should be decentralized or centralized.
Yes.
Because it's actually a revenue that should go to the council or should go to the what do you call it? The municipality. So the municipality should tax. If they tax you and your own is 100, there should be an agreement that 30% of that or 40% of that goes to government, 60% will stay with it. It can be arranged, but it should be done.
But will the money go where it has to go? That's the accountability.
So that is then you come back to the same problem I raised, which is the human being.
That's it.
Yes.
The human being. And you see, in a society where there are no sanctions, you can forget it. And that's the difference between possibly the West and developing countries. There's no sanction. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody.
Which is true.
Honorable, this trouble has come. Chief, this is my cousin's this. My sister sits on this board. My cousin. So we are in that type of networking, we are one of the best.
Oh, wow.
It's true. In that type of social networking.
One of our main failings.
Yes.
It's
it's actually a plus, but in the wrong manner. That networking should be used to build people.
Yeah.
But we use it to solve problems that somebody has gone to create. So in the end, cases just die. Nobody is dealt with.
Someone also was asking me that they like village life, countryside. And as you are aware, in the UK here or other parts, I believe you've been to so many different places. The countryside is still like the city. So if you go to Birmingham here, you see everything that is in London there. If you go to Bristol, you see everything that is London, you see there. in Ghana, this person wanted to invest in Ghana, but what they are saying is the difficulty is that they like countryside life, but when they are there, there's a lot of problems they are not able to deal with. Health facilities, accessing education for their children.
We are still a developing.
But it's been 65 and we are still calling that. So what I want to know from you is that it's been over the years, and I know that NDC also in terms of policy and their plans for the future. What can NDC do differently to what is happening? Because, and also remember, there has been previous NDC administrations and the same problem was there. People bathing outside and everything. What can be done differently?
I think that one of the major things is we have to go back to a sanctions regime. Mm-hmm. You really must believe that if you do the wrong thing and you are caught,
yes,
you pay a price.
Yes.
It will deter people from doing the wrong thing to a certain level. And even those that want to continue doing the wrong thing will be dealt with. There's also this big man syndrome.
Yes.
So if you are certain people,
you're belligerent.
You cannot be pulled up for this or that.
That's it.
No. The law is for all.
Yes.
So it should capture everybody where possible. Then there are people who abuse it the other way around. Oh, because a big man, we will target him anywhere he takes a step foot, we will stop him. Yes. That is why there's protection for MPs. You know, there's the idea that you cannot go and pick up somebody, an MP going to and from court. It's historical. Yes. People just think it came in there by mistake. Okay. History has brought that law.
Okay, can you break that down, please?
In the past, in the olden days, an opposition party, a party in government would use the police to arrest people and harass them from coming to parliament to stop them from voting. It has happened in the past.
Okay.
And as a result of that, this law came about that we are protecting MPs who are going to and from parliament.
Oh.
That's how it came about. So there's, sometimes you see something and say, why crack this thing? There's a history that brought it about. But it has also now given them certain amount of immunity. When I say immunity, you have to wait to get them the right way. So the Speaker of Parliament has given an outer. If you want them for something, come to me. I will deal with the service on them and get them to meet you so that they are not it's not used as a political tool.
Yes.
As opposed to a genuine concern for investigations. So if you really want to investigate something, come to me. And I think that's a happy compromise for now of the situation. And then we can evolve from there because look, we abuse things very quickly for political gain.
Which is true.
We have a bill in Parliament now which is looking for giving dual nationality rights for people to sit as MPs.
Okay.
It's going to be an interesting debate when it comes on the floor, but it is there, which means that there is already a mind set amongst the Ghanaian populace that actually allowing true Ghanaians who have got dual nationality to come and stand as MPs is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yes.
Especially because of what happened to Sikande, who was jailed, and now the new MP who is being harassed. And you ask yourself, if such a bill is in Parliament, and the current situation is very different from that of Sikande. Sikande actually went through the election as a British citizen. He had British citizenship.
Okay.
And he won, and he kept using his British passport.
Was he supposed to have changed it?
He was supposed to have renounced his citizenship.
Okay.
He didn't.
Who did he tell?
He didn't tell anybody. It was found out.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
So he then started taking steps to renounce it when he was now an MP in Parliament. And it was picked up and he was jailed.
Okay.
The facts of the current situation are not the same. This is somebody who applies for renunciation. A 6 months process is then extended because of COVID to an 11-month process. Before they went to the polls, his renunciation comes in. And when the people vote, they vote him. And when he goes into Parliament and swears, at the time of voting for him and at the time he goes to Parliament and swears, he is a full Ghanaian citizen. However, the argument is that at the time when he was filing, he may have had dual citizenship.
Seriously?
Now, that is a moot point because what amounts to swearing allegiance or not is what the courts are going to deal with. That's why I'm not going into that aspect of it. But the bottom line, the point I'm trying to make is, why is it even in court? Because you have a Ghanaian society that is trying to see even whether or not we can consider dual nationality. And the time when the person swore, he wasn't a dual national. He was a Ghanaian. The time when they went to vote for him, he wasn't a dual national. He was a Ghanaian that the renunciation had come true. So it is not a case that should be in court. But because of politics,
yes,
because it's 137, with the independent making 1381, it is so close that you need every vote. So let's get rid of him by all means. Forgetting the general principle that is there. That is not right. These are the things that don't progress systems. But in politics, all is fair in love and war, as they say.
You know when you said that, last week I keep going back to the youth program, that there was this young guy that was with me, that he said that he wants to do politics and he wants to go to Ghana. Okay, he's born here. And I think he said the last time he went to Ghana, he was 4. So when he went back, it was 20 years after. He was standing at the airport when he plays football all over, yes? My friend's son, he was standing at the airport and then he found the mom. He was in Dubai, he went to the uncle. He says, Mom, I'm going to Ghana. He didn't even have a visa. And then he went to Ghana. So when he got there, he said they took all his money because he didn't have a visa. And he went, and I said, Michael, you went to Ghana. And because he was supposed to even play for the Black Stars.
Yeah.
That was some years ago. And then the mom and I were saying that, no, we're not going to let him go. So when they stole his passport in America, we were so happy. So now he says, Auntie, I want to go and do politics. I want to go to Ghana. I want to do this. So when he said that dual nationality, which sometimes affects me as well, I think that is brilliant. But you see, there's a law too that, this country, even though we're born here, they're saying that, this Priti Patel or whatever, she said, oh, if your grandparents are not English, you can lose your British citizenship. So it affects all of us. It's not like anybody that has actually. So now, if we're going to say we're going to do this dual nationality thing, because what they're saying that the precedence of this is that if you have somewhere to go, then they will take your citizenship from you. So now, how would that work?
Well, I think that you have to understand what having a British passport allows you to do. So, for example, if you are a dual citizen, nothing stops you from working in government.
Okay.
But not all positions.
Okay.
So you cannot be an MP. You cannot be a minister of state.
Okay.
But you can work in the presidency. And for years, people thought I had a British passport. In fact, my grilling in my 2 veterans all had to do with whether or not I had never applied before in my life.
Okay.
Because I was playing in my mind that I would go and do politics. And I knew that it's not allowed. So I never applied. Simple and short. I skipped promotions in Britain. Didn't apply for certain jobs that I was eligible to apply for. Because if I took those jobs, then I had to have a British passport.
Okay.
So it means I had to now go and get it. I didn't apply. Because I knew I was going home. That was always my mind set. So you have to know the terrain and where you think or what you want to do. A lot of people are bred here.
Yes.
The reason why I said this dual citizenship bill is going to be quite interesting in Parliament, because it is actually one where the arguments are not going to be on partisan lines. Everybody is going to be allowed to speak freely and vote freely.
Okay. Because
there are people on both sides of the divide who agree with it wholeheartedly, and people on both sides of it who don't.
Yes.
Some of people are, look, if you want to be a Ghanaian MP, come. It's like, because they know that money plays a lot in our parliamentary elections.
Okay.
So if you are sitting here, you for some reason have some good job, you are a computer guru. By the time you get to 35, 37, you are worth 10 million. You say, well, I'm going to just play cha-cha in Ghana, I'll take £1 million and go to Ghana. You're an MP.
Right.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You understand?
Yes.
You take 1 million to say you are going to campaign, you'll be loved immediately.
Which is true.
You understand? But you don't have Ghanaian citizenship. So now straight away, because you were born and you have British, so it is another way of blocking certain people from just walking in. Because to have made that money here, you more or less, most of the time, it's best you have a British passport. You are traveling up and down. So you have that. So if you really want to come and spend your money for that, drop one. Drop your citizenship and come. That's what some people are arguing. That people are going to come and buy
votes,
elections
Yes.
at the MP state without even knowing what the people really need on the ground.
Which
So
I agree.
So it's a double-edged sword in terms of that. But for me, I'm clear in my mind. They should allow it.
yes, it will benefit the country.
It will benefit the country.
bring a lot of
100%.
I'm
skills.
clear in my mind.
But one of our viewers, before you go, want to know,
Yes.
as a former health minister,
Yes.
they want to know the free NHIS and how it doesn't cover certain illnesses. They feel that the poor are being affected in our country, and a lot of families are grieving or losing families for just because they are ill and nothing is done about them. And we had a case here where Beatrice was involved, where a mother said she went to hospital, she had a baby,
Nice.
she didn't have the money to pay, and she was kept at the hospital until she finds somebody to come go and pay.
Yes.
What would you do differently to this should NDC come to power?
You live with certain things that are in place in government. You don't, it's very difficult to touch them or change them. And why do I start from that angle? You see, the nature of our politics is such that we have not dealt with a plan that is singular to everybody. So I want power tomorrow. And therefore, I must say to Ghanaians something that will make them vote for me. So I come out and say that when I come to power, every university student will now be free. We'll pay for free tertiary education. I will come out and say that, oh, we are going to now decide that there will be an airport in every region. Okay.
And that's lip service, basically.
I've said it.
There you go.
I've come into power. And now people are saying, where's my airport? Where's my free university education? So the little money I have, I throw it all in there. Something will give. The two things that suffer most in a situation like that will be health or education. They are the two biggest spenders, earners, or in some ways, in terms of social intervention.
Precisely.
They don't bring back any money. They swallow a lot.
Yes. It's like building a house. You don't get it back.
You understand?
Yes.
So when you are promising on those things,
Yes.
you have to understand what is your revenue
Okay.
you are going to generate that is spare from two major things that you must pay, which are non-negotiable:
Which is very true.
wages and interest on loans.
Yes.
They are non-negotiable. When the time comes to pay, you must pay.
Exactly.
So when you get your revenue, you have to pay those things. Now the one that is left, the things that I have promised on platform, can I do? I think that the current government lost a very important opportunity because of haste. You see, if you have no plan, you can go anywhere.
Which is true. Which is very true.
Or as they say, if you don't know which road to travel on, any destination is your destination.
100%.
And if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail.
That is true.
Free SHS, free SHS, free SHS. It is not new. It's in our constitution. It's here. So it was a question of Not if it should come, but when and how. President Mahama took a different tack. Any new school I build, I'll make it day and I'll make it free. Because if I make it boarding, it comes with certain cost.
Which is true.
But if I make it day, the cost is reduced and I can never make it free for those who attend. So all the schools that they were building, the E-blocks,
Yes.
were free and they were day schools. But so free SHS didn't start under them. We were doing gradual. The difference is they made it a manifesto promise. So Chinchina, I must do it with a big bang. Okay. But you never said in the manifesto that I will do it in the first, second, third, or fourth year of my government.
That's true.
So why did you try to do it in the first year? Why am I saying this? When we left office, 2 oil wells were meant to come on stream. Those 2 that were meant to come on stream were going to give us extra revenue that we never had.
Okay.
We had just come from solving a doom saw at a very expensive rate. So it just meant that we were going to take our time
Yes.
and deal with covering that cost.
Yeah.
And then use the rest to deal with other aspects of this educational system.
Yeah.
Change of government. Their view is that we are going to start free HSS from them. Now, to do that, there were a number of things that were already lacking. We didn't have enough teachers to cover all the students if we wanted to teach them.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't have enough schools. So in their first 2 years, they should have done 2 things. Increase the intake on teacher training and build the remaining of the E-blocks, or call it whatever you like. Build the schools.
Yeah.
Day schools. And save the rest of the money that you are getting from these wells for a 2-year period, some of it. So that when you are ready to kick off in the 3rd year or the 4th year, it will just go home. No traffic light system. You come today, go tomorrow. We are not doing this. All would have been
Done smoothly.
nobody would have talked about it. But Chinchina, we must do it in the first year. I've never understood that decision. And I'm not against free SHS. No, please. I just don't understand
The rush.
the way the decision, why they made the decision so. They had 2 years to generate and save funds for that purpose, and to build more schools and train more teachers, so that when they implement it, it would have been plain sailing, but it would not have created the mess we saw and we are still suffering today. So when you ask what are the new measures when we can deal with all this health,
Yes.
we've already put an albatross around our neck because nobody can move free SHS. It's here to stay. And we have to fix it. We haven't even finished schools under trees, or trees under schools, whichever you prefer, as one of my colleagues said.
Yes.
No, but technically, we haven't finished dealing with all those aspects. We have frozen any more schools going to school feeding program
Yeah, I heard that.
because we don't have the funding. Things are, also the Ghana matter, I don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm just giving us. So in terms of what is now left for health,
You see.
so when we said to the president, why do you go and promise 111 hospitals in 18 months? What to win an election? Okay, we have now passed 1 year. Where are they? How many of the 111 are there?
No, how many? Have they?
There are none.
None.
Oh, okay.
None.
Oh,
Oh, we are going to site. When we queried you that 18 months, you said, now they have changed it. So from the time we start, it will be 18 months. So when we go to site, 18 months. So if it takes you 10 years to get to site, it means that the hospital will be in 11 years, 6 months. That's what they are telling you.
oh wow.
So now we are all, we are not using our grey matter. How? 18 months was the deadline. Then you change it, and so from when we start. So when are you going to start? When we come to government, that you start. You promised it. You promised it at the height of COVID.
Which is true.
So you knew COVID was there when you were promising it. So you knew where you were getting the money from.
Precisely.
So don't use COVID as an excuse. What is this? So it's for me, yes, we will try and make sure that we do enough to help the health sector.
Yes.
No government has done more for the health sector than we have done. I can rattle all the hospitals that we built. If we didn't build some of those hospitals, the COVID would have been worse, the outcome. We've all benefited from it. So we have done some. Allow us. When we come, now it's about the access and what it covers.
Yes.
I'm happy to see that recently it was mentioned that there was cover for, I think, some child cancer or something that they were going to add to the NHI list.
Yes.
And we were, in our time, we were looking, one of the big issues we were thinking about was dialysis. But the costing wasn't working because a huge number of our people require dialysis. And you can be on dialysis for 15, 20 years. So
Precisely.
it's not a 2-3 year matter and then you are well. So when you take it on, you have to understand. And you can become bad overnight. If you start and you do it 1 year, 2 years, and then you stop, you kill a lot of people.
Because the cancer can
Now a lot of people are dying.
So,
Yes.
but a lot of people are also relying on alternative medicines.
Okay.
And yes, some of them are problematic, but some of them are
effective.
The trick is to make sure that you are going to reputable places who have this thing. And the truth is that a lot of it has to do with your diet. And that's a discipline issue. Having said that, it gets to a point where you really need dialysis. There's nothing that can be done. You need the dialysis. And beyond dialysis, you need a transplant. Now, even within the medical fraternity, there are arguments now as to transplant and staying on dialysis. Dialysis regime means that they know what they are taking out, how you're, if nothing else, complications come in, you are fine. But the drugs you pay for when you do a transplant is more expensive than the dialysis. The medication.
Yes.
In many cases, you have to go on certain medications. When you put the cost of the operation on board, plus the cost of the kidney or whether if it's not a free this thing and people are in that type of thing, then it becomes more expensive. Because when you get a new kidney, you have to be on drugs for life for your body to continue to accept it.
Which is true. I mean, my dad died from, my dad had cancer and had a kidney problem in guys.
Yeah.
So when he was being treated, the medication that they were giving for his kidneys were affecting like his cancer.
Exactly.
So it was like he wasn't going to get transplant. Yeah.
And even if you get a transplant, you now have to know that you're on certain medication for life because it's a foreign body in your system.
Which is true.
And the body is always looking to reject it. So you have to be taking drugs for the body to always accept it. And that's what happens with most transplants. Because that is not what came with the original engine.
Thank you, Honorable.
Yes.
Now, what is if you have a last word for our journey of independence?
65 years.
Yeah, the 65 years. That will be your last word. Thank you very much for today.
Okay.
No, before his last word, I'll ask him something before he goes.
Okay, then ask first.
Okay, you know, since these years, young people have really gone to Ghana.
Yes.
They've really appreciated Ghana and
Yeah.
they really want to go and work and support. That's why I mean these two nationalities, I really take it because with me I see them as our future because I look at other cultures, like I look at the Turkish, Greeks, Indians, and the basis of their future is the ominous word they place on their children. For us, I see that they're going to Ghana, they're having fun. How do we steer them for them to use whatever skill set that they have into Ghana so that, because when we talk about independence, the independence is moving us forward, is progress. Because when you look at life is about the journey whereby the old die, the young take over. But in Ghana, when I look at politics, and I always say this and I always get into trouble now, why are the old people still there? You see, I know that it's very controversial
What
Because
age
most
group?
people-
What age
Oh,
group
no,
do
no,
you
no,
classify as old? What age group?
The
You need
age
to
group
specify.
65 upwards. And you're not, what do you call old?
Yes. No. In terms so that our viewers will be clear of what you are saying. What age group do you classify in
No,
old?
because the confusion is they say that youth. I remember the first time I went to like a party thing and they said, "Oh, the youth," and I'm saying 50 people that are 50 years old, because I thought people were bringing their children. So all of a sudden, when they said youth, and I'm
So
seeing
you
old
want
men sitting there.
from 65 years old?
Yes, but when they say youth has to be youth. So with me, what I'm saying is, moving forward, how do we change that? The young people, because if you, in this country, they always get the young people to take over, so you mentor them. But it seems that the old people don't want to go. How do we do that? How do we get rid of, not rid of?
I think that the argument is
No, it's not an argument. It's
no,
kind
or the point
Yeah.
is misplaced slightly.
Okay.
It's not about the old people going. It's about making sure that there are more young people involved. Because actually what you want is a blend.
Yes.
You want a blend of the old and the youth.
But they have to mentor.
So that is fair. I don't disagree.
Unfair discrimination.
But if you are talking of a whole scale, even if you look into the British Parliament, there are old guys in there.
Yes.
Old hands, people who have been in Parliament for years. And they can always give you a bit of, look, don't do it this way. Bagbin is the longest serving MP ever. Because he came from 1992.
Wow.
He is one of the only MPs left in that parliament that was there from its inception.
Wow.
So for him becoming a speaker after he was actually retiring as MP was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because he has the whole history behind him.
Yes.
He's not a spring chicken.
Yes.
But that history, you can't buy it anywhere.
No.
So that is why even in a hung parliament, somebody was able to still vote for him. Some of his people, their people, were able to still vote for him because they know that he's bringing certain strengths which others will not
That I
have.
don't disagree.
So for me, that's why you need a blend. We see the same argument in parliament. So you have young people who want to now come to the front and whatever, but there are tricks of the trade. And if you don't have the history and you have a high turnover, which is not gradually done, you have a problem. It is also true that some people never want to leave and use those that have stayed long as the reason why they should not leave. That is wrong. One of the people I admire a lot is Kofi Atto. When Kofi Atto did his stint as an MP, he could have gone again. He was in a safe seat,
Yes.
whole central. His people loved him. He said, enough. Somebody should come. I'll help.
Yes.
Still, I'm a party man. I want to be in the party.
There you go.
He was made director of international relations.
Yeah.
When he did his stint, hey, I've done it. He said, okay, I'm ready to go. They made him vice chair.
Yes.
So when you have people see your use, regardless of your age, they will find a space for you.
Thank you.
But you too must know when I should leave for somebody young to also
Thank
come.
you. Yes, that's my point.
And that is a valid point. And so as I'm here as director,
You're not old.
he mentors me. Or I go to him. Honorable, this is your people. Anyway, you do it like this. Let's think about it this way, that way. So you, the person who is on that, must also know how to approach your seniors.
This is true.
But there's a lot of also disrespect. Young people who think that me, I know it all. Really?
No.
They'll leave you to sink, and you will sink.
No, but I get that.
Because you will definitely meet something that you need some advice on how to deal with. And if you cannot talk to the right people, you will sink.
Yeah.
So for me, I take your point entirely. Some are there too long, and we must bring in more young blood to occupy. When I remember in 2009 when we won the election, one of the things that was said was that anybody who had been a previous minister under the Rawlings regime would not be made a minister again. Except there was only one exception to that rule at the time. I think one or two people were allowed. They came in for a particular purpose, and even they were distant. So all the people who became ministers at the time had never been ministers of state. They were completely new. But they put people in strategic positions
That's my point.
to be able to assist them
Yes.
and give advice as they go. if they were willing to take it. So if you are not willing to take it, you go and meet your Armageddon. That's
your Armageddon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is how it is. So I take your point entirely.
Oh, I'm against. No.
No, I take your point. There is the need for youth to come in.
Okay.
It is being worked on.
Okay.
But maybe not at a pace that is quicker. And when you don't always do the comparison with Europe, because sometimes when you look at the European parliaments, and they have infrastructures that hold them.
Which is true.
The civil service and the civil service workers in Denmark, Sweden, UK, if there's no government, the place will run. You understand? Yeah. It can run for 6 months without any person at the head. The same doesn't apply in Africa. Technically.
Yes. And
so
skills are
a lot of skills and experience is required. Even though our civil service is one of the best, but across board, we do not have that understanding of certain things. And our infrastructure, and I'm talking now of not brick and mortar, but systemic infrastructure, strong as it is, it's not strong enough to stand on its own. So you need the right leadership. And if the leadership is wrong, you see it. If it's right, you see it.
Thank you.
Last words?
Yes, please. Thank you.
We are on a good road.
Okay.
Ghana is in a good place. And there's a lot that we can do to improve. But sometimes I've come to the point where everybody must brighten their corner.
100%.
You can see everybody's problem, but you never see yours.
Your own, yeah.
So look in the mirror first, and then brighten your corner. The space that they have given you, or what you feel you have to do, just do it well, and do it as a proud Ghanaian, and sell Ghana. If everybody is doing that, you will see a difference in a short space of time. But if you keep pointing at other people's problems, this, that, without looking at yourself first, then there will be a problem. But let us all know that we are in a good place. We should be proud to be Ghanaian and move forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Alex
Percival.
Yes, Percival.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, it's an honor.
You love it.
Oh, I love it. I love
like
it. No, I love it. You see,
it.
we are so honored that because I knew it was last minute. And then, you see, but one thing that I always say is when you go back home, yeah, Omega has been one of the TV stations that has really supported like the youth, which is like the future generation. With me, my producer knows that that's my passion, the youth. And he knows what we go through. And I want like people to appreciate that the time they give us, and especially this man, the stress I give him, no wonder he's losing his head. And my producer is still maintaining his Danswa. But one thing I want to say, seriously, producer Mr. Danswa and Joe, we thank you. We are so grateful. So, Kofi, you can close it now. And
thank you. Thank you, Honorable, for
thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
And
thank
God bless
you.
us all.
And thank you, Beatrice, as well. And producer, Mr. Joe Bedu, and
Yes.
Sister Danswa.
Yes.
Good night, everyone. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, we'll be having part 3.
Yes.
Good night.
Yes. So it's good night to me and him.